By the end of today's episode, you'll know whether creating a stage name is something you should do. Welcome to the Actor's Career Compass, where we help aspiring screen actors find high-quality auditions, sign with great agents, and book major roles in legit productions. I'm your host, Martin Benson, and today we're going to be discussing stage names. You're going to learn all you need to know about stage names, from whether you should create one to how to actually go about it, and any legal ramifications you should be aware of. So, let's talk stage names. First, there are three main reasons that I think make the most sense when it comes to considering if you should make a stage name. Number one is union conflicts. Number two is branding issues. And number three is just kind of a new start in your career. Okay, so for union conflicts, the first reason, if someone in SAG-AFTRA or Equity or another union based on where you are, if they have rules like they typically do in most unions where someone already has your exact name as it's spelled, in that case, it would definitely make sense to pick a different name because they only allow one actor to use that name. So, for example, one of my clients, I've featured him in numerous testimonials and everything. His name is Tyrone Robinson, but he actually decided to add his middle initial L, so Tyrone L. Robinson, just because his first and last name were already in use. It's a somewhat common name. So in that case, if there's a union conflict, definitely it's a good time to consider whether you want to create a stage name. Second one is branding, okay? So if your name is very common, like John Smith, or again, like my friend Tyrone, and you Google your name, and it's hard to actually find information about you, but other people's info tends to show up on Google, then in that case, it may also make sense to consider changing your name. Some people, branding-wise, also, if they feel that their name is difficult to pronounce for people who don't know them well, then they might also decide to change their name for that reason. But again, think about the Googling thing, because if people don't know you and they're simply Googling your name as it is, you may want to just change it so that you're the only one or you're the top one that shows up on Google. Third reason, as we said, is sort of creating a new or a fresh start, right? So if you're in the process of, let's say, entering a brand new phase in your acting career, or you want to start new, right? For instance, if you're pivoting from a child actor moving into adult roles and you want to kind of leave your past work behind you for whatever reason, good or bad, then in that case, a new name could be a good idea. Now, there are some other potential reasons for changing names, of course, but these are some of the big ones that are most important, in my opinion, to take into consideration. So, all that said, how do you go about actually changing it? Well, first thing you need to do is actually a little bit of research, right? So you want to check in union registrations or, again, on Google. You just want to see whether your name is available, or if another actor is already using that stage name, then obviously you don't want to pick it. And then you're also going to want to check for domain name availability and even social media availability. So, for instance, you can go onto a website like GoDaddy.com and you can just check whether your first and last name are already in use. For instance, MartinBenson.com, because my last name is spelled a little bit differently, Bentsen, it wasn't in use. And so I was able to purchase that domain name. So basically with me, if you search, I'm the one who shows up first. You can find all of my content about actors and it's very easy. So I figured for me, I wouldn't really need to create a separate name, even though there are other people who do have my exact name. They're just not really showing up and not registered. So you should definitely check all of that. And then once you've confirmed, of of course, make sure to register those names as soon as you can so that no one else takes them. Once you've registered those names and you're sure of the name that you want to go about using, of course, at that point, you want to inform anyone who's representing you or working with you, like agents or managers or other industry contacts that you have. You want to let them know about the new name. And even before you go about officially changing them, it's also a good idea to just get their feedback, their thoughts, their advice around the whole idea of changing your name, because it's obviously a big thing and you shouldn't just randomly decide to do it. It's good to get feedback because they might throw out things that you may not have thought of or some things that we're not going into depth on this podcast about. Now, once you've made the choice and you've informed everybody, then it's time to obviously update all of your materials and all of your marketing. So you want to update the name on your headshot. If you've got your headshot, sort of your name embedded onto it, or it's been printed, you want to make sure it's updated there. You want to update your resume. If your contact info and your name is on your demo reel and even your website, you're going to want to change all of that. If you're already in a union like SAG-AFTRA, you may need to fill out a name change form. And of course, you're going to want to update your name on your casting profiles and even your IMDb page. Now, when it comes to legal things, right? Of course, I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not going to tell you everything that's involved in that. But the general idea is that even if you want to use a stage name, you don't necessarily need to change your legal name. So your stage name can be completely different from your legal name. In fact, many actors do keep their birth name for personal use, and then they only change their stage name for acting work. And what's nice about that is it can be useful to kind of keep casting directors from finding out about other work that you do. Like, for instance, if you work as a lawyer and then you do some acting on the side and you don't want casting directors to see your legal work. Or on the other hand, if you do the acting work and you don't want to see your law clients, to let them know that you do acting on the side, right? There's plenty of different realistic reasons that people want to change their name to kind of, keep things private and all of that. So just some stuff to keep in mind, but you don't actually have to change your legal name and go through that whole process, which can be significantly more challenging. When it comes to stage name, it's really just about how you register with the union and then changing your name on all of your marketing materials and let people in the acting industry know of your new name. And obviously make sure that you change your name in your email signature, all of those things, right? But that is pretty much it. It's not super complicated. It can be changed in the future, but just remember when you do pick a new name, it will take some time for things to kind of permeate and for people to get used to it. And so you don't want to just pick a name and then decide to change it again a few years later, because it is kind of a difficult, long process. Thanks for listening. Now, if you want to dive deeper on branding, which goes obviously along with these name changes, then I highly recommend checking out my podcast called How to Build an Acting Brand You're Proud Of. And that is episode number 82. You're going to learn all about how to have a strong brand, how to create a brand that you actually like, how to unpigeonhole yourself if you feel stuck doing acting work that you don't enjoy. And once you create a brand that you're proud of, you can actually use that to book more acting work, and you'll get more roles playing characters that you actually enjoy, where you're going to do a better job and be more likely to actually book the part. So again, that's episode number 82, How to Build an Acting Brand You're Proud Of, on the Actor's Career Compass. Now, lastly, if you'd like to get some personalized advice, I'd love to hop on a quick Zoom call with you. We'll take a look at where you are, what you're struggling with, and I'll help you figure out some of the best next steps to take. And we'll see if one of my one-to-one coaching programs might be a good fit for you. So whenever you're ready, just visit martinbenson.com. You can set it up there, and I'd honestly love to meet with you. Thanks so much, and I'll see you soon.